Hey guys, this is GalahadB here, and this time I'm gonna try and analyze one of my games. I've chosen my game against Franatleti for my first analysis video because I think it was a very close and interesting game with a couple of things um, to talk about more in depth because when I'm playing the game, I don't really have the time to go too deep into my thought process. Um, but I hope with this video that I can give you a little more insight why I do things the way I do them and perhaps where I went wrong, and also to analyze what my opponent is doing because when I'm playing the game, I'm more focused on what I'm doing and slightly less focused on what my opponent is doing. So I'll try not to give any spoilers for those of you who did not watch the live gameplay commentary. So yeah, I've started this video after viewing both people's hands and their cards. The three people starting with Book of Muzabul and one of the end cards. Book of Muzabul is a good card to start with because it might allow turn 1 Aragon while also bringing the dwarves to war. And if you can do that, then taking the dual line becomes very, very difficult. So I'm always happy to see Book of Muzabul or Fear Fire Foes as one of my starting cards. Ends is a little more, yeah, situational because sometimes Rohan comes under fire really early on, and then the end cards might be great, provided you can get Gandalf out, which sometimes you don't. And other times, Rohan will only be a target towards the end of the game, or not at all. And in that case, the end cards will be completely useless. So yeah, I would probably rather have a different card because also neither of these cards is immediately playable. Like you usually don't play Book of Muzabul turn 1 unless you also separate Strider. So that means if I roll plenty of Palantirs, or even one Palantir, that I might not be able to play any cards unless I also manage to crown Aragorn turn 1. As for the Shadow, the Ring is Mine is perhaps not one of the cards you want to start out with, but at least it's playable, which sometimes is a big advantage. And the other card's Swarm of Bats. And Swarm of Bats is very interesting because there's only two of them in the strategy deck, and it's a great counter to Scouts. So with this card, you're very likely to go for the dual line, prevent the Scouts from Erebor to Woodland Realm, and then take an easy Woodland Realm, and also probably bring the North to war very early on. So yeah, I think that's a perfectly normal card draw. Let's see how the rules go. Shadow allocates one eye. I always like to do that because it just yeah, most of the times prevents 3 or 4 movements turn 1. And then yeah, 3 people roll 3 musters and only a single movement. And I wasn't happy when I saw that, and I think I commented on it. But thinking about it some more, it's not that bad of a roll. I'm usually reluctant to muster the elves early, but considering my opponent will use both these musters to get in Saruman, he's only left with 2 dice that actually move armies around, and he can't get the Witch King this turn. Yes, by mustering the elves all the way to war, he will most certainly get the Witch King next turn without having attacked anything. But I can start mustering the elves up starting next turn, protecting both Lorien and also Woodland Realm at the dual line, and perhaps even Dol Amroth. I mean, I don't have Kiran's ships, but if I should ever draw it, then it's immediately playable, which is great. So in hindsight, I'm thinking I probably should have just taken the elves to war. I was thinking at that time though, with him having 2 musters turn 1 plus few army movements, that he might be looking more towards Gondor if I muster the elves to war. And I don't have Kiran's ships now, and it's unlikely for me to draw it anytime soon. So if I bring the elves to war, he can get Witch King next turn, muster up some more of these nations, and just surround Gondor, and then just attack Gondor for 5 victory points, and then he can still decide where to go. While I have the elves at war and maybe muster up some of the elves, and don't defend anywhere else. So I was very scared of that, and my idea was that I wanted to keep him somewhat interested in the north, but not too interested in the north. Like I want to defend you a little bit so that he would still go for it instead of Gondor, which he probably would if I bring the elves to war. Yeah, but have a reasonable defense so that I can hold out for a while. Yeah, that was my thinking. I'm not sure if it's the right call. I think mustering the elves all the way to war here and not use a ring is also a perfectly fine move. I just personally don't like it that much. So yeah, that's my thought process here with this role. Also, one thing is I will decide to use a ring this turn because it's only against 2 eyes. Getting hit on the second movement is 50% chance, but moving twice this turn means that next turn the first move, the one that will bring me to Moria, is very likely to be safe because he's only hitting on 6s. So that's one more reason why I felt like I should try and move twice this turn. If it was against 3 eyes, I certainly wouldn't have used the ring. If it was against 1 or 0 eyes, I almost certainly would have used the ring. Which also makes the Elven mustering a little less strong. If you're only using 2 musters to get the elves 1 step from war, the next turn you might only have a single muster, so that doesn't really do anything. And then the whole Elven mustering might be much less useful. So anyways, yeah, he does the perfectly obvious thing, move Isengard to war. I move the Fellowship once to see how that goes, because if the Fellowship gets revealed here, and it's a 2 and reveal, I might just kill off Gandalf and use another muster to hide the Fellowship with Aragorn. Oh, Strider, rather. So, yeah, it's a safe move, which is always great. So he can safely get in Saruman now, because there's no way I can get Gandalf this turn. Yeah, and I use a ring immediately now. Because, again, if I get hit and revealed, I might kill off Gandalf. If it's a 2 and reveal, I will certainly kill off Gandalf. If it's a 1 and reveal or 0 and reveal, then I'll probably not kill Gandalf because we're not past Moria yet. And I like to kill off Gandalf reasonably efficiently before I'm through Moria, so that if things get dicey, I can always just sacrifice Gandalf and, not get battered too much. If I'm past Moria already, then yeah, we're at the point where I try to kill off Gandalf as fast as possible, and I will probably kill him off to 1. Certainly, if I have another Will of the West showing. If I don't have a Will of the West, then yeah, I might not. It depends a little bit. But anyway, so that's the reason why I use the ring immediately. Also because there's no way he can get a Witch King this turn because Sauron's not at war. So even if he uses a ring now for an additional master, he still won't get the Witch King. If he had 1 more master, then I definitely wouldn't use a ring at this point because. Oh wait, yeah, I didn't muster the elves to war, so forget what I said. I could always just use a ring this turn. So yeah, 50% chance to be safe. I hit the 50%, I'm safe. That's always great. So yeah, he moves armies around, and this is an interesting move, and I think I commented on it during the live commentary. Like the move from Barrett to Gorgonroth, that's a perfectly normal, expected move. The one from Dol Guldur to Narrows of the Forest is also a fairly commonly seen move, but not one I'm particularly supportive of, because I feel like this move is almost always a mistake. And the reason for this is this army is fairly weak. Like it's only 7 HP, which is more than twice the HP of Woodland Realm, so you would be expected to take Woodland Realm if nothing happens. But for example, if this lone regular from Carrick manages his way into Woodland Realm, then all of a sudden it's 4 HP in Woodland Realm, and your 7 HP here in Narrows of the Forest might not be enough anymore. And it gets even worse if 3 people have Thranduil's Archers, at which point your 7 HP, even if the one regular doesn't make it to Woodland Realm. It's fighting off against 5 HP, and you have almost no way of winning that. I mean, it's possible if you have like a Deadly Strife and your rolls are good, and yeah, you might take it after all, but it's very risky. But even if no reinforcements are happening, you will take Woodland Realm, yes, but then that army is way too weak to do anything else. It certainly won't take Erebor by itself, and even coupled with the Easterlings, it's still not extremely likely to succeed. Like it's probable, especially if you have some mustering cards for the Easterlings, which we know he does not at this point. But yeah, usually what happens is that if you move from Dol Guldur to Narrows of the Forest without having played Orcs Multiplying again or Pits of Mordor, then you will also need to bring Veritor and Moranon all the way up to Dew. And if you do that, then you have no armies that can threaten either Lorien or Rivendell, and your remaining forces in Mordor and Umbar are probably not enough to take on 2 Gondorian strongholds. So at that point, you're kind of locked into Dew for 5 points, maybe Dol Amroth, and then the final 3 points will be pretty difficult because, you know, by the time you threaten Rohan, it's probably decently defended, and Lorien and Rivendell can just muster up. So yeah, it's usually not the most dice efficient strategy. It's good for an early Witch King. It's not ideal for getting to 10 victory points as fast as possible, just because you usually have to bring in Moranon anyways. Whereas on the other hand, Moranon by itself, together with Veritor, that's 11 HP. That's 5 HP more, 4 HP more than this army, and that together with the Easterlings is usually enough to take on all of Dew, leaving the Dol Guldur force to move to Lorien and threaten that. So that's usually a better move. I can see why you would do it here because you have low movement, and moving this army together with Moranon all the way up here takes a lot of movement. But at the same time, Fellowship is, you know, not moving again this turn. It's only on 4 dice. Not exactly likely to see Gandalf returning next turn as the white. So I don't think you're pressed for time right now. Okay, so that's this move. So now what do? I decided not to muster the elves 3 times. So I feel like, especially with him coming after Woodland Realm like this, I definitely don't want to muster the elves anymore. By not mustering the elves to war this turn, I feel like I have him interested enough in the Dew line that I don't need to muster Gondor at this point. I feel like mustering Rohan is usually a mistake, so I end up mustering the North. Mustering the North can be pretty useless. Sometimes they just get overrun and they didn't do anything, and then that muster ended up being wasted. But I've had my fair share of games where the North stalls out Dew for a really long time and buys enough time for the ring bearers to destroy the ring. The North can be very pesky. Like, if you don't get rid of them early on, they might really cost you the game. And that's what I'm hoping for here. That he, you know, does a mistake in Dew, and I can stall out long enough. Maybe that was a mistake, especially seeing Narrows of that move to Narrows of the Forest, because at this point I am fairly certain that he will also bring on Moranon to Dew, and if he moves these armies and also has the Easterlings, then there's no way Dew holds. Like, it's almost impossible to defend against this many units. So I probably should have at this point abandoned Dew and looked elsewhere. Yeah. Maybe. But then what else do I muster? I mean, mustering the elves is probably not going to do much, because if he takes Woodland Realm early, the elves will be at war and I can just muster up Lorien afterwards. And again, mustering Ganda or Rohan doesn't seem to do much. Maybe muster the dwarves, but then he can bring the North to war and then attack Erebor first. So yeah, that's why I'm not super glad to see these musters early, because it's difficult to use them perfectly. I think mustering the North here is okay. In hindsight, I feel like probably mustering the elves 3 times would have been slightly better, actually. Because he had no way of actually besieging Woodland Realm this turn. So yeah. I muster the North. Interestingly enough, he does not use a ring here. He doesn't have a great playable card. He can play the Ring is Mine, but you know, one of the reasons you move to Narrows of the Forest is so that the lone regular from Carrick doesn't make it to Old Forest Road. We know he has Swarm of Bats, so he's probably not too worried about scouts. But it's still a free muster, and with me having mustered the North already, you don't really want this guy to move to Old Forest Road after I muster the Northlings one more time, because then next turn I might muster another lead into Dale. So I feel like, yeah, you probably use a ring here. You want to get Sorin to war anyways. Get in the Witch King next turn. But yeah, playing the Ring is Mine is not a huge mistake. But he doesn't play a card, he instead draws a card, and he draws a character card, which is, to me, a little strange, because after the Fellowship has moved safely 2 times in a row, I would be more focused on a military victory, because it's fairly unlikely that he hits me on my next move. Yeah, but yeah, of course you can also do that. It's not a big mistake. I just at this point would probably be more looking at trying to win as fast as possible rather than trying to corrupt the ring bearers. So yeah, I muster the North again, and he moves from Gorgonroth to Moranon as expected. That's a very good move. And on to turn 2. So he draws Hill Trolls here. I think that's the worst forward mustering card. He also draws Ringwraith Abroad, that's a very good card. And I draw into Bilbo's Song, which is great. And Swords and Eriador, which is not great. Mainly used for cycling cards. But yeah. So yeah, now I have 3 movement against only a single eye, which is very good. And he also gets a very, very good roll. So yeah, this is another point in the game where I feel like I may not have made the best choice. Because I think the way I should look at this is I have 3 movements and then I can get Gandalf. Or if I don't get Gandalf, I can probably get in 4 movement. And just race him. Because again, this Moranon army will take a while to get up here. This Narrows of the Forest army, even together with the Easterlings, will have a very tough time to take over all of you. So yeah, I feel like just sprinting with a Fellowship is probably okay. And I start out by moving a Fellowship, which I think is the right move. And especially since Sorin is not at war, I don't need to rush the character Old Forest Road move. And he hits me with an eye, which is unlucky. But at the same time, it's not too bad because I want to get rid of Gandalf. But it's on step 3. And that means I either have to reveal into Moria, drawing an extra tile, or taking the long road via the high pass. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I get revealed, I still have Gandalf as a guide, and the hunt pool now is, there's 15 tiles left. There's 6 tiles which will be better than a 1 and reveal. And there's 4 tiles which will be just as good as a 1 and reveal. So that's 10 out of 15 to be able to kill off Gandalf, bringing back to life this turn, and then hide the Fellowship with a mustering die, and then, move out of Moria. But, yeah, because the other idea would be to kill off Gandalf to this 1 and reveal, but then if he draws a 3 or a 2, I'm really sad, because I don't want to random at that point, because I definitely need Strider to hide again, and then Corruption might become a real issue. So that's why I didn't sacrifice Gandalf to the 1 here. But I still move to Moria because I want to kill him off this turn, because I have another will showing. And if it's a 3, it's not too bad, because then I kill off Gandalf efficiently. But it's a 0. So now, yeah, my plan goes out of the window. Because if I was revealed not on the first step, but on the second step, I would have probably just killed off Gandalf to the 1. And because then I don't risk... the problem here is, if I hide again, he might have a card like Isildur's Bane, where he can just reveal me again, draw an extra trial for Moria again, and then, yeah, it can get really, really difficult. But if I reveal into Dimrildale, all of that can't really hurt me too much anymore. So yeah, that's why I didn't kill off Gandalf to the 1. I think that's the right call. It just didn't work out. I had a 10 out of 15 chance to draw a better or at least as good tile to kill off Gandalf, and I hit the 5 out of 15. It happens, it's okay. So he brings Sauron to war, and at this point, getting Gandalf this turn is fairly unlikely. I can use the will to hide, use a ring to move again, but 2 dice against 5 is actually a 50% chance, yeah. So maybe I should have done that. I hide again. But that means my North mustering didn't really do anything. Because he can just move straight to Woodland Realm now. Yeah, he brings another Nazgul over to Moria, which I think is fine. You don't get the rerolls this turn because you're only at 1 die. But you'll have them next turn. And attacking Dale first and not playing a card, that is also very interesting, because 7 dice against 6, 8 dice against 6s. Yeah, it's fairly likely to hit a 6. And I'm very unlikely to have scouts. But I mean, you have Swarm of Bats, so I think I would not risk it and just play it here. But either way, I mean, he gets a 6, I don't have scouts, so he gets the North for war. And he can get Witch King this turn. But yeah, see, now this army has only 4 fighting units now. And those will not be enough to take Woodland Realm. Yeah. And here I'm not sure if that's the right call. The thing though is I already used the ring turn 1. I don't feel too good about using another ring this turn if it's only a 50% chance to give me Gandalf. And that's why I didn't use the ring here. And also because, and I think that's not the best reason, but also because I used 2 musters last turn to bring the North to war, and I would feel really bad if that amounts to nothing. But yeah, at that point, it's just sunk cost. I don't think that move was super urgent, because I'm not using this will to retreat the Carrot Boys into Woodland Realm, provided that he attacks Carrot now. So yeah, I don't know. So he attacks Carrick, I have advantageous position, which is a great card for this situation. But he still manages to roll 2 hard 6s and then a 5 on a reroll. Like if it was the other way around, one of these guys would survive, but nope, he gets his 3 hits. I don't hit back, so that didn't work out too well. So yeah, now I used 3 dice, muster the North twice, and then get an extra unit into Carrack, and that got me nothing at all. Not a single hit. Well, I did get 1 hit, but it was from Dale, so that one regular in Dale was always going to be there. So the mustering didn't do anything. Other than accelerate his Witch King, because otherwise he may not have gotten it unless he went to attack the North anyways, without me blocking his way at all. So now I move again because I'm afraid of one of the tile drawing cards. I feel like if he had it, he would have already played it. So there was no reason to rush it, I don't think. But at the same time, I mean, I'm gonna move anyways because I definitely don't want to stay in Moria. It's only against 1 eye, so this is as good a chance as I'll get to move out safely. And I do move out safely, so at least I have that. Yeah, he gets the Witch King, moves armies, sure, to get more rerolls, that makes sense. And now it's difficult because, yeah, he has a character die. He could attack Woodland Realm from Old Forest Road. But it's only 4 HP. I don't think I would field battle this. But if he attacks now into Woodland Realm, that means it's one more step for this army to join up with Woodland Realm, so it's not dice efficient. And you don't have any other army you want to move, and you certainly don't want to move Nazgul because you already have. I mean, I'm certainly gonna declare into Dimrildale, so there's no reason to move Nazgul around. So now it's either play Candles of Corpses or the Ring is mine. And yeah, I think you would play Candles of Corpses here instead of the Red Tile, but both are fine. Giving the Fellowship a lot of corruption early might mean that cards like Arthalas are more efficient, and Morgul Wound might be less efficient, so I could see why you are reluctant to play it now. And it's not looking like I'm going to get Gollum out anytime soon. So yeah, that was perfectly fine. So yeah, I declared to Dimrildale, of course. He gets another pretty good roll, but so do I. And so I'm thinking, yeah, this turn I'm gonna get Gandalf for sure. I mean, yeah, what do I use this muster for? The North is now completely conquered. I can muster up an area door, but I don't see that doing anything this game. So yeah, I'll just wait for him to do his thing because I know he didn't have a tile drawing card last turn, so it's fairly unlikely that he'll have one now. So I can just see what he does. Yeah, won the Sauron Toil. Obviously, you're never happy to see that. But, I mean, Fellowship is so healthy because of the tiles being drawn that I don't worry about a corruption victory too much at this point. So even losing Bilbo's Song probably would not be the biggest deal in the world. Yeah. And all these other cards, like I said, the End's probably useless this game. And Deadman, I don't think I have time to separate Strider anymore. I mean, I could move once and then separate Strider and crown him, but at this point I'd probably rather go for Gandalf. I can use a ring to move 3 times, bring out Gandalf, and then there's decent chance I'll make it into Mordor next turn. So yeah, I can still pass, no hurry. I don't know why I move here, because it seems like I could have just passed again. I'm safe, as expected. Now I pass, yeah. Yeah, so now I could separate Strider and crown him in Minas Tirith. I don't think it's a terrible idea. but I would be using 2 dice that I could use to move the Fellowship more to get rid of the best guide ability the Fellowship has outside of Golem, when there's a pretty high chance I can kill off Gandalf this turn and get my 5th die anyways. And also it's turn 3. I don't think this game is going to last longer than turn 8. So we're talking about 5 more turns. I'd rather get Gandalf now and maybe Aragorn next turn, but yeah, I don't think if I don't get him this turn that I would get him next turn. I think I'd just keep him for the guide ability to be as fast as possible. And yeah, with 2 eyes and 2 rerolls, I think it's extremely likely I'll get hit on this next move. That's 4 dice at 5. Should be around, I don't know, 80 or so % chance to hit me. And then if I get this move safely, I would use a ring, move a 3rd time, hope to kill off Gandalf, and then bring him back. So yeah, I don't think you crown Aragorn this turn. If it was turn 2, maybe. But on turn 3, I think it's too late. So yeah, move again, I get hit. And it's a 3, perfect. I can kill off Gandalf. Rider becomes guide. He discards Deadman, but yeah, like I said, if I don't separate him now, I don't think I ever will. I don't mind losing that card. I get Gandalf now, of course. And this is smart. Instead of going for Woodland Realm, he attacks Erebor first. Because I did not roll a single army muster, so... And I needed the wills to move and hopefully get Gandalf, so there was no time for me to move that Iron Hill regular into Erebor. But, like I said, it would not have made a difference. Because look at this army, it's very big, and he still has these Easterlings at the ready. There's no way I can defend you. So even getting that one extra hit point into Erebor is not gonna change the outcome of the duel line. It might mean though that he is slightly faster because he might not have to spend another die to attack again and try to score one more hit, because likely with these 3 elites he can take these strongholds pretty quickly. So yeah, I think that's a very good move on his part. Yeah, leaving Dale empty is also okay because nobody is at war. And now I must Garner because, yeah, what else am I gonna do? Like, the elves will move to war as soon as Woodland Realm is conquered. Once again, there's no army threatening Lorien at the moment. The only card I would be worried about is Shadows Gather. That's the only one, and it's very unlikely he has it now. So yeah, no reason to muster the elves here. And while I would have used the ring if I hadn't killed off Gandalf yet, I'm now extremely likely to be hit if I move again with a ring, and that does not feel worth it. And also, if I don't move again, I can just declare into Easternet, get rid of the rerolls, and yeah, try to get to Mordor on turn 5. Because even if I use a ring now, I will probably get revealed, and then on 5 dice, I need to hide once, move 3 more times, while only being revealed on one of these 2 steps. And that would use up all my 5 dice. And if I don't roll 3 natural movement, I would also have to give him my last ring. So that doesn't feel too good. So I think, yeah, you don't move again here, even if the muster is probably not going to change a whole lot. So yeah, he plays Silt Trolls here. Okay. Yeah, you could play Candles, but I don't think a ring victory is looking very likely at this point. So yeah, I think that's the right play. And on to turn 4. Yeah, moving pretty fast with Fellowship. Already at 6 movement after 3 turns. That's good. He's only on 1 victory point, but we know that these 2 strongholds will fall very fast. And yeah, this is one of the things I was talking about. If I had used the ring last turn, even with using another ring here, I would not be able to get into Mordor. So yeah, I think that was good that I didn't use it. I'm not happy with this roll though, because it's a race. His military victory against my ring victory, and I need to roll as many movements as I can. I would have no problem moving 5 times this turn if I had 5 movement dice. But I only get 1. I don't have any real use for these muster dice. Because I'm not going to play Guards of the Citadel because it does not look like Ministerials will be attacked at all this game. It's way too late to play Book of Mazabul now. And yeah, they're not going to do anything. And I don't have the dice to play them anyways. And Path of the Woes is not going to help me at all this game because it's much more likely that he will attack Rohan than Minas Tirith. It's fairly likely that he'll go for Dol Amroth at some point, but definitely not Minas Tirith. It's just much better defended. So yeah, it's pretty difficult to make good use out of these muster dice. The one good thing is at least I have this army movement. I can finally move Edoras to Westernnet and protect Helm's Deep. But I don't have a very good use for the second army movement because that lone regular from Iron Hills can't move into Dale because dwarves are not at war yet. So yeah, I think I end up moving North Downs to Enmores because while that's not likely to help me, there's a world where that North Downs elite makes it to Rivendell in case he tries to go after Rivendell, which seems very unlikely at this point. But what's the other move you would do? Some people move Forts of Eisen to Helm's Deep or to Westernnet. And yeah, I think that's not efficient use of your army movement. And I'm certainly not using this character action to move Westernnet with these guys into Helm's Deep. I'm just hoping he's not rushing for Gondor this turn. For Rohan this turn. Because I don't want to play an end card now. I want to move as fast as possible. And I will end up using a ring this turn because I feel like I'm 4 steps from Mordor. So I need 2 movement now, 2 movement next turn to make it into Mordor next turn. It's very likely that I'll get 2 natural movement next turn because at 5 dice I'm expected 2.5 movement. So yeah, that's very good odds of me rolling at least 2. There's a world where you don't use a ring this turn and hope for 3 movement next turn, but I felt like I'm so healthy that if I get the choice, I would take an extra step to avoid cruel weather. And so I felt like even if I get 3 movement next turn, that's not going to be wasted probably. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I felt like I definitely want to use a ring this turn, make it into Mordor for sure next turn, and then yeah, I'm probably at good pace with his attack on Dew being a little difficult to convert into more victory points later on. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good at this point because everything went as I expected it. He overcommitted to Dew. Nothing else is threatened at all at this point, and Fellowship is making pretty steady progress. But I'm using up a lot of rings. So yeah, I'm Masakana now. I don't think I need to, but yeah, it makes sense, I guess. In case he has Corsairs of Umbar, he might muster the South Runs again. But I feel like I should probably try and move first. He musters Nazgul now, so that means he does not have Corsairs of Umbar yet. Otherwise, he would certainly move the South Runs to war. So I move. I'm safe. Yeah, he attacks Erebor. Now he decides he's not attacking Erebor, he's mustering the South Runs. So now I'll go and muster an elite into Dol Amroth. But yeah, I could have guessed he doesn't have Possessive Umber because he would have rushed those movements faster than this. Yeah, he attacks Iron Hills. That makes sense. So that lone regular can take back Dale. I do have an army movement die here, so if he were to attack Erebor, he would try to take it with only one die, bringing the dwarves all the way to war. And then certainly I would have used my army muster to move Edoras to Westamnet and Iron Hills to Dale, and maybe stall him out for some more. Or get that Iron Hills regular into Woodland Realm. But I still don't have scouts, so that was very unlikely. So he attacks Erebor now. Yeah. As I said, there's no way I win this. I just hope he needs more than one die. And I'm curious to see... I'm surprised to see him not press the attack. Because I have 4 HP. He has 11 HP. He still had We Come to Kill in hand. He just drew Half Ox and Goblin Man, but he had Olokai in hand. And he also had Desperate Battle. So I feel like you 100% press the attack here. Dwarves are already at war anyways. I don't see why you would stop the attack here. I would rather be as dice efficient with Erebor, and then, if need be, take more time in Woodland Realm, rather than take too much time in Erebor and then run out of time to win the game later on. I feel like at this point, he must know that he has to hurry up and maybe risk a little more, because it's looking like a ring victory is happening on turn 8. Like I usually account for 3 turns in Mordor. Having 3 turns in Mordor is usually enough for the ring bearers to dunk the ring, unless corruption is very high. Then you might have to move slower than this. But so it's looking extremely likely that I'll make it to Mordor on turn 5. So that means turn 6, turn 7, turn 8. That's 3 turns in Mordor, which means to stop me, he has to win on turn 7. That is what I'm thinking. He has to win on turn 7 to have a realistic shot at winning the game, because if he wins on turn 7, I would need to ring dunk in 2 turns, and that is possible if I dodge all the reds, and if I get lucky with the randoms and Strider remains guide for a long time. But I also need to roll a lot of movement, and yeah. With using a ring this turn, I will have at most 1 ring left, and that's difficult to get a victory in 2 turns in Mordor. So yeah, that's why I feel like you should definitely try to press as hard as you can in Erebor and also in Woodland Realm, because you are running out of time, most likely. So he attacks Woodland Realm again. Yeah, now he plays We Come to Kill. He could have played that after pressing. Yeah, it's not the most efficient use, probably, but probably enough to take Erebor last turn. Yeah, and with a roll like this, for sure it's enough. 3 natural 6s. He misses here, but now he presses. I don't think you play a card anymore. Well, he has to discard, so yeah, I can see why you play a card, yeah. Yeah, I feel like he could have been slightly more efficient in Erebor. He still has 3 leads left. If he had pressed, like I said he should, then he would have 2 leads left still. And this army is probably strong enough to take on Woodland Realm now, after having used Hill Trolls up there. So yeah, I use a ring to move again, because if I get hit and revealed, I can use my last die to hide. I take a random here because I don't want to tank 3 to the face. I want to get Gollum out, if possible. And while I don't love to see Strider die to 3, it's okay. I mean, I'm not revealed here, so I don't need to use his guide ability, and it's very likely, like I said, that I'll roll enough movement next turn, even if I lose him. So yeah, that's my thinking. Now Mary can bolster up the defense of Lorien, which is also good. And like I said, I don't care too much about either of these cards. If I'd had to pick one to keep for the rest of the game, it would be Bilbo's Song, but it's not looking like I'll need it. And the end card is gone, which is okay. Yeah, he uses the ring now, that makes sense. Musamami's around, that is perfectly fine. I can finally muster the Westernnet, move them to Westernnet. I wanted to do that for a long time, but yeah, he did not go for Rohan early, so but it didn't get punished that I didn't manage that move earlier. Yeah, now he plays Candles. I don't know that you want to play it anymore, because the Fellowship, like even after taking this one hit, which is slightly less than expected, you expected 1.5. So yeah, I guess getting 2 hits would have been slightly fortunate. But I'm at 4 corruption, and I still have 10 HP on the Fellowship, so I'm at -6, 2 steps from Mordor. You would need a miracle as a Shadow player to get a ring victory from this. Did he have other playable cards? Not really. I guess you could use Dreadful spells on Woodland Realm. You have 4 Nazguls there, so yeah. But you probably don't need to, because that army will be able to take Woodland Realm, even if it doesn't get any reinforcements. So yeah, I think it's okay playing Candles of Corpses, but I don't think it did a lot. And so now he draws Shadows Gather. That is, in my opinion, one of the 2 best strategy cards in the Shadow deck. The other being Corsairs of Umbar. Because Shadows Gather is such a flexible card. You can use it to reinforce almost any stronghold with very little movement. Because you probably just, if you muster up in Dol Guldur, you can reach Woodland Realm, Dale, Lorien with no movement at all out of Dol Guldur. And if you move once to either Western Brownland or up there, you can also reach Erebor, Helm's Deep, and Minas Tirith, all with just a single action afterwards. And also you can reach a lot of Shadow Strongholds with, almost no matter where your armies are, because moving 3 spaces is a very big deal. So even if there's a threat of a Free People military victory, Shadows Gather can prevent that, and has helped me several times to stop a military attempt from the Free People. And also here, it's particularly good because, like I said, he completely overcommitted on the duel line, and there's no threat on Lorien whatsoever. But with Shadows Gather, that is a potential threat onto Lorien, which is still reasonably dice efficient, and makes all my comments early on him having to overcommit on Dew with that move from Dol Guldur to Narrows of the Forest kind of a moot point, because he can now repurpose these big armies by using Shadows Gather, and he already has units in Dimrildale that he can jump onto. So this is the best draw he could have hoped for. And at this point, Shadows Gather is even better than Corsairs of Umbar, because I have already mustered Dol Amroth a little bit. I will probably be able to muster it again this turn. And then, Corsairs don't even do too much anymore. So yeah, he allocates 1, gets a second one, perfectly normal. And here, again, I only get a single movement. And at this point, yeah, I feel like I'll have to use a ring, get into Mordor as fast as I can, because I still feel like, I've gotten a little unlucky with my movement this turn and the last turn. It's still fairly likely I'll get enough movement in Mordor to finish in 3 turns, even without a ring, because, like I said, I'm expected 2.5 movement per turn on 5 dice, So that's an expected 7.5 movement. In Mordo, I only need 5 if I dodge the rats, and as long as Strider is my guide, even a reveal won't change that because I can use any die to hide. So yeah, there's no way I'm not using a ring. And even if I think he might have Cruel Weather, I'd still go for it, hoping to be revealed into Moranon. So yeah, I'm not super happy, but I still think I'll get to Mordo this turn, and that I will have enough time to dunk the ring. So I get revealed here, no big deal. It's actually kind of good because even if he had Cruel Weather in hand, which we know now he does not, it means it's likely that he will hit me when I move again. Likely to reveal me if he hits me again. That's 6 out of 11. That's more than 50% chance to reveal me. And then Cruel Weather doesn't do anything. And once again, corruption-wise, I'm perfectly fine. I'm still at -5. The rule of thumb is if you enter Mortar with less than 2 effective corruption, you are very likely to dunk the ring corruption-wise. If you have more than 2 corruption, depends on how much more, then you still have a very good chance of destroying the ring, depending on the hunt pool, and depending on how slow you can move and how many ice gets rolled. So yeah, I'm feeling very safe corruption-wise. So yeah, I hide with Strider. He now moves Nazgul around. I don't know why he would do that. That does not feel like such a great idea. Just to get a reroll. But what does that do? Like I said, you're not winning on corruption. You don't have Cruel Weather, so you don't need to hit me. And he uses a lot of dice to just move and consolidate his armies. And knowing that he had Shadows Gather, and I think I commented on it during my live commentary, I would have used the Dale army to move into Old Forest Road, and I would have used Veil of the Common to move into Dale afterwards, and then use Shadows Gather. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Into Dimrill Dale. So you would have these guys move over to Dimrill Dale. Maybe you leave a lead behind actually. Move like this. And then this plus an elite would have been certainly able to get Woodland Realm with 1 dice. So I feel like this was probably his biggest mistake. Because I feel like going from Dol Guldur to Woodland Realm, that was probably a mistake. But drawing Shadows Gather gave him a shot at fixing that. And I think he kinda squandered it here. Because, I mean, there's no way he needs this big of an army to take Woodland Realm. So he uses the ring now to muster into Dol Guldur. We know why, because he wants to move Veil of the Cannon to Dol Guldur. But then he will also need 2 more movement to get Dol Guldur into Dimrill Dale, which he could have done if he hadn't moved Old Forest Road to Dale and instead moved Dale to Old Forest Road and then Shadows Gather to Dimrill Dale. Then he wouldn't even have to use a ring. And you could have let 1 Nazgul stay behind with an elite, so you don't even need to use the character die to move the Nazgul around. And with an army movement, move Veil of the Carmen into Dale, so now you can attack using a character die. And then this turn he could have besieged both Woodland Realm and Lorien. That would have been perfect. Setting himself up very well for victory on turn 7. Because then he's at 7 victory points, and the remaining 3, that's usually not the biggest problem. So yeah, I play Bilbo Song now because what else am I gonna do? He cannot attack Dol Amroth this turn anymore. With these dice, he's not attacking Helm's Deep. Faramir's Rangers won't do anything because, once again, there's no way he's attacking Minas Tirith now. And while it's not looking like corruption is going to be an issue, yeah, what else am I going to do with this Palantir? So I think, yeah, playing Bilbo's Song, it's fine. Yeah, now he Shadows Gathers. Like I said, I think that's a pretty big mistake. Yeah, I use Ring now. He hits me, he does not reveal me. I random because I want to keep Strider, Corruption, not the biggest issue. I don't care about the discard, I just pray he does not have Cruel Weather. And I feel like he probably does not have Cruel Weather with how he moved the Nazgul there. Because if you have it, you try not to hit me. You would not send a Nazgul there. Yeah, I muster Morn Dol Amroth in case he draws into Corsairs. And I'm so happy he does not have Cruel Weather. If he had that, then that probably would have been game. So I enter Mordor now. I don't have a ring left though. So I feel like, yeah, winning in 3 turns is still very likely. But it's not a sure thing. I do feel at this point that it's extremely unlikely that he will win on turn 7. So I think, yeah, me having 3 turns in Mordor should be enough, and his military should be slow enough that I should have time to see turn 8. That's why I commented here, yeah, I think you're a bit too slow, because I feel like I have 3 turns in Mordor, that should be enough for me, and I don't think he can win in 2 turns. But I roll no movement. Nothing. Not a single movement. And I think I commented in the video that that's about 6.25% chance of it happening. But it's 6.25% if I have 4 dice. I roll with 5 dice, and so the chance is half of that. It's only 3 point something percent of me not rolling a single movement, which is about 1 in 30, I think. So yeah, it's very unlikely, but it can happen. I don't have a ring anymore. And I'm not revealed, so I can't even hide to prevent 1 extra point of corruption. Which, again, I'm not too worried about the extra point of corruption. I'm worried about running out of time, because this means now that I will not need 3 turns in Mordor, I will need 4. Because this turn I'm not doing anything, and then I need an extra 3 turns. Realistically, there's a world where I roll a bunch of movement next 2 turns, and I might still be able to win on turn 8, but it's very unlikely. So yeah, I'm a bit bummed to see that roll. But I think to myself, well, what can you do? Try to make the most of it. But also these Palantirs, like, what am I going to do with them? I have a bunch of cards that don't do anything. Like, Half Tambambalul does nothing. Great Company is not even playable. Faramir's Rangers, Guardians of the Citadel, they defend Minas Tirith, and Minas Tirith will not be attacked. And Horn of Gondor. Yeah, it's not a bad card. I think I end up playing it. But again, I'm at -5 corruption. Actually, wait, that's 3 plus 5, it's 8, and 5. I'm at -3 corruption. I will take 1 more, so I'm at -2. That's still perfectly fine. But yeah, but the cards are not great. The dice are very bad. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4 attacking dice and a ring. Yeah, not great. So I draw a card. I draw a strategy card because, again, I feel like I'm doing a good job on corruption. So the only thing is I need to hold out for as long as I can. I haven't drawn Calibos Galadriel yet. I haven't drawn Thranduil's Archers yet. And I haven't drawn a Power to Great yet. Those are 3 cards that I'm looking for. Whereas on the character side, I'm only looking for There Is Another Way or Mithril Code and Sting. Neither of those cards are a great draw now because Well, the Sorentor is still in play, so there's no reason to go for the character deck. And the blue tiles, yeah, they are good, but as long as I dodge the red, I don't think I need any blues. And if I don't dodge a red, then I'll probably run out of time anyways, and the blues won't matter anyways. So that's why I draw a strategy. Yeah, he gets mouth, that's fine. He besieges both these strongholds. Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself now, okay, if I had mustered the elves, that would have looked way different. But at the same time, it was pretty unlikely for Jew to turn out like this, and him having Shadows Gather repurpose these armies into Lorien. Difficult to foresee that. But yeah, this game, the North Musters didn't do much. So yeah, now I'm left with these dice that are fairly useless to me. I move armies around to protect Helm's Deep, because I'm still thinking, like, even if he takes these 2 strongholds, which he will, where else is he going to get his final 3 victory points from? 1 city, probably Pelagier, and 1 more stronghold is the most likely, I feel. So where would he go to? Probably Rohan, if Lorien goes well. So that's why I move the Forts of Eisen to help against an attack onto Rohan. He plays a strategy card. I'll try to counter it with advantageous position, because I felt like he would not start the battle with something like Deadly Strife, so I tried to preserve daylight. Oh, and also he attacks Woodland Drum. Woodland Drum is much less likely to hold than Lorien, so I'm trying to save my cards for Lorien and play the weaker cards in Woodland Drum. But unfortunately, my card will not do anything. Yeah, Woodland Drum is gonna fall. I draw Arthalas here, that's good, I guess. I don't even know why I'm drawing a character card here. I think that's a mistake. He moves Nazgul around, that makes sense. He's preparing for a attack on Rohan. Yeah, I play Arthalas here because I have no other playable card. I only get a single hit, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, he wanted to get the Witch King to safety. I don't mind that. Yeah, now he plays Dreadful Spells, that makes sense. I'm thinking though, with this army against these poor defenders, you can just go for it. You have Deadly Strife, you have Onslaught. I think I would just ring and muster up more Northing after, because you're taking Lorien on 1 die. And it doesn't even hit. I'm mustering up in Minas Tirith because I can't muster up. Also, maybe I could have mustered up in Rivendell. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, and he musters up in Northing. Yeah, makes sense. I took 1 point of corruption for not moving the Fellowship. And finally, I get movement. And I also draw a blue tile, but I don't really need the blue tile, I think. Which is why I move first. And it's an eye. Yeah. I think you should not take a random here, because it's 25% chance to kill Strider, and you're just racing at this point. So you really don't want Strider to die here. You want to move 3 times the stand if possible. Yeah, and that's what I do. I just take 2. Oh yeah, now I remember. I wanted to take 2 corruption, but then I accidentally pressed Control and D, which is the hotkey to take a random companion as casualty. And once I've done that, I can hardly say, whoops, didn't want to do that. Because if I had drawn Strider here and I was saying, whoops, that was an accident, like, yeah, I just can't take back Strider, right? That would have been unfair. If I press Control and D, I'm drawing a random companion, and then we have to roll with it, I feel. And so, yeah, I'm happy to draw Boromir here, even though I didn't intend for it. But by that token, if I had drawn Strider, I don't think I would have allowed myself a take back. So me not drawing Strider means I also shouldn't take him back, even though this is even better than taking the 2 corruption. So yeah, I take the random one. He discards a card. As I said, I'm not worried about corruption. Still, I'm on -1 corruption, 1 step into Mordor, and the hunt pool is just looking dandy. Like, there's almost no way he's corrupting me. But the red tiles might storm me, and that's the problem. Yeah, he attacks Lorien. I play charge here because I don't need Guards of the Citadel, even though it didn't do anything. So yeah, there's no way I can hold Lorien. I just hope he has to use up all his elites, which he does not. He takes it after pressing once, which means this army is a very big threat to Rohan now, which I feel like is the most likely target. And he also mustered up more in Orthanc. He attacks for Weizen now. I think you muster up another elite in Orthanc before you do that. Fairly harmless battle here. Yeah. I feel like you should have mustered one more elite because you still have 2 musters there. And while you can use a ring this turn, I guess, very unlikely for you to win this turn because you would need this die to attack Helm's Deep, this die to take Helm's Deep. With this single die against 6 HP, you only have 9. That is almost impossible. And then use these 2 dice to also capture Edoras. I don't think you win this turn. And it's extremely unlikely for me to win next turn. So I feel like, yeah, you had time to muster up one more lead. I move again. It's a 2. Certainly you don't take a random here. Well, actually, you might take a random here because you can move again afterwards. But I think you just take 2. But I don't know why I risked another random draw. But I did. It turned out great. Oh, because I wanted Gollum. Yeah, that's why I wanted Gollum. Because looking at this pool, there's a bunch of 1 and reveals and a 0 and reveal, and those do nothing if I have Gollum out. Yeah, he attacks Helm's Deep. I move again. It's a 1. Yeah, I don't take a random this time. He has Fighting Uruk-hai. Okay. On one hand, I'm worried now about Helm's Deep falling this turn, and then he has 2 dice left to take Edoras and win the game. But at the same time, you have 9 HP against 6. The general rule of thumb is you need twice the defending army size and HP to have a very good chance of winning, and 9 to 6 is not nearly twice as much. So there's a very real chance this goes wrong, and you don't have great cards here. I mean, you have We Come to Kill, yes, but you know, I mean, you have to downgrade elites if you take any hits here. Because the alternative would be to kill this lone regular, and then you're only left with 4 combat dice. So those are not great cards to win the siege in Helm's Deep. Like, even if you play We Come to Kill, if I'm rolling 6 dice on 5, so I'm expected 2 hits. That is 2 downgrades. That leaves only 2 elites left to We Come to Kill. It's very risky. It's extremely risky, actually. So he plays We Come to Kill. I can play a card on the first turn combat because of Fighting Uruk-hai. And he gets no hits. I mean, obviously that's unlucky. But with this card, he's only expected 1.3 hits. 1.4 or something. No, actually 1.6 hits. Yeah, 1.6 hits. So basically 2 hits. Yeah, and I score 3 hits, and he basically has to downgrade 3 leads. And now he only has a single die before we come to kill. So yeah, that was unlucky. At least he gets 1 hit here, which is fortunate. But now he has 6 HP against 5 HP. He did draw a good card now, but that's the only good card he has left. And I still have Daylight, which I couldn't play last turn because of fighting Urkai, but I can play now. So now it's looking real bad for him. And he, again, doesn't roll a single hit. This time he was expected 1.3 hits or so. So again, kind of unlucky. And I rolled super well. Yeah, extremely well. And now it's looking extremely likely that I will kill the Witch King. I can't play a card anymore because I don't have any, and his last card is not very useful. And he gets 2 hits here, which is kind of fortunate, but it doesn't matter. Witch King is dead. And yeah, imagine if he had 1 extra elite in all tank. Like, that would have meant he could have taken 1 regular, downgraded 2 leads. He would have been left with 4 leads. No, 3 leads because he took 1 hit before. So he would have rolled 3 dice before we come to kill. He would have had a much stronger army afterwards. Because remember when I said you want to have twice the defending strongholds HP as your attacking force? He attacked with 9 HP into 6. If he had mustered a single more lead in all thing, he would have attacked with 11 HP into 6, which is not quite twice as much, but he had the fighting Urukai, which helps him because then he doesn't have to press to continue the attack. And so having 11 against 6 HP, that was probably going to work out, or at least not get the Witch King killed. So not mustering that 1 elite in all thing proved to be a fatal mistake because now Rohan is not looking like it's gonna be taken. Galahad strongholds also seem to hold out fairly well. And now it's just rough, right? Where do you go? You have 2 armies that can do something. This one and Lorien, coupled with some mustering in Moria possibly, and this Radrim force, which yeah might be able to attack Ministers or Dolamroth. But yeah, at this point it's looking much more difficult. So yeah, he still tries to go for Rohan. I draw a card because what else am I gonna do? I can't play one. I didn't have any. I don't have a ring, so yeah, that's what I'll had to do. He continues to march towards Rohan. Now he rolls a lot of eyes, but I still have Strider and Pippin, and all of a sudden, it's looking like I have a shot at winning the game this turn. But I don't think I need to risk it. If I just start by mustering another lead in Rohan, which I'm not. Yeah, I'm afraid of Day Without Dawn, I think, which is why I move first. Which is okay. He does not have enough dice to take Helm's Deep and then Edoras. Yeah. There is a world, I don't know if this is correct. There's a world where I just tank 4, go to 10, use a die to hide again, and then move again with my last die. But that would probably get me killed if I run into a red eye. And I'm thinking to myself, it's extremely unlikely to lose this turn. So that's why I did it like this. But there is a world where I do lose this turn. it's by him going 1, 2, besiege Helm's Deep, I can only muster once. And then he has 8 HP against 5 HP, which is not ideal. Still not twice as much like you should have, but it can work, and you're desperate at this point, so you might have to risk it. So that uses up 3 dice, 1, 2, and 3. And then he can play Corsairs of Umbar into Pelagier for his final victory point. He could even use a ring first, move these guys into Umbar, and then Corsairs into Pelagier. He does not have Corsairs, so that can't happen, but I didn't know that. Yeah, so that was kind of risky. That's why I probably should have just mustered up first, and because that would have definitely prevented Helm's Deep from falling. So yeah. And now he does go after Rohan. I must an elite now. He besieges now. It's not extremely likely for him to win this siege, but it is possible. But yeah, leaving one guy behind, now it's almost impossible, right? Now he only has 7 HP against 6, against 5, but any hit he takes will mean he will roll less dice on next attack because he has to press to be able to win this turn. Unless he already has Corsairs in hand, yeah, then maybe. It's tough. I'm just, yeah, he can use one more die to attack, so he needs to take Helm's Deep and 2 dice while also having Corsairs of Umbar, which he does not. Yeah, I muster up an Edoras so he can just capture it. And now he can't win this turn anymore because he only has 1 ring. He already played Ring Racer Abroad. And this move signals that he does not have Corsairs. So yeah, he can't win this turn anymore. Yeah, Foul Thing was never gonna do anything because I'm at 6 corruption with the hunt pool looking like this. Like even if it's a 2, I'd just tank 2. I'm still at 8. Very unlikely to get me killed next turn. Is him rolling 3 more eyes with only 8 dice. Very unlikely. So yeah, and now I just win the game unless I draw a red, which is only 2 out of 9. A little over 20% chance. But I mean, this one doesn't really matter because I'll go to 7 corruption. Ice would be worth 4 corruption, so I'd still win the game at 11. And even if oh, actually, okay, he does have Morgul Wound, so yeah, if I draw this first, then these 2 tiles would lose me the game, but the other 6 tiles would win me the game. So even tanking 1 red would probably be still okay. And if I draw this one first, yeah, it's basically the same. I go to 9, Morgul Wound to 10, I hide, I move again, and these tiles are safe to win me the game. And this time will stall. This tile will stall me for 1 more turn, but not kill me. I'll go to 11, but he would have already played Morgul Wound. So yeah, and it's a 2 in reveal, so I win. And I feel like I got a little lucky with a Mordor track, at least with the tiles drawn, and also with my randoms. I feel like I got very unlucky with my dice roll in Mordor though, and before getting to Mordor. And I feel the biggest thing here is that he did not use his armies to the maximum efficiency. Like, once again, I think the biggest mistake was not using Shadows Gather from Old Forest Road to Dimrill Dale. That would have probably saved him 4 dice. And then if he had taken slightly more time to take Helm's Deep, then he certainly would have won the game before I had a chance to dunk, given how few movement I rolled. Yeah. But once again, I think I did not play the first 2 turns perfectly. I do think I did a very good job afterwards. But I think the bigger issue is that the shadow player was just slightly too slow with his view attack. That needed to be slightly faster. And then, yeah. Because, well, actually, yeah, and the whole Helm's Deep thing, not mustering 1 extra elite, which would have forced me to try and win the game last turn, which was more risky, because then any red tile would certainly stop me. But I would have had a decent shot of winning the game last turn. That I did not decide to try because I felt like I had overwhelming odds of seeing turn 9, and then it would have been an almost guaranteed win for me. So yeah, that was my my analysis of this game, which I think was a very exciting game. I can show you the stats. I think by adding this. So these are the stats. You can see I rolled slightly below average on hits as 3 people. He also rolled slightly low on hits as Shadow, which was a big deal in Helm's Deep. But I feel like, yeah, overall, it was a fairly balanced game in that regard. The bigger thing here is he's -3 on ice, while I'm -4 on movement. So that should have given him enough time to win the game. Being able to see turn 9 while not having any mustering cards, because if you think about this game, I did not have any mustering cards for the dual line. I did not have anything for Lorien either, and I've only drawn Eomer last turn, so that didn't help Rohan. The only mustering cards I drew were for Minas Tirith and Ariada, so yeah, that certainly could have gone better. So yeah, that was my game against Franatleti. I hope you enjoyed this more in-depth analysis of the game. And again, if you have any comments, please let me know. Also, I'm curious to hear if you enjoy these analysis or if you would prefer more live gameplay commentary. Yeah, just let me know. I'll try to do more of whatever you prefer. And I wish you all a pleasant day and see you soon. Bye bye.